High Ground Podcast. This week we are going to be talking about ships and pilots, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Um, awesome guests as usual, and we're going to jump into that. All right. Normally, there's a delay when I click to play the video, and then when I start talking, I misjudged it. I misjudged it. I also noticed that I still had Miss Marvel in the background for my last thing. Uh, I did a Miss Marvel thing, so I had her in the back. Oh, I can't display it. Never mind. Anyhow, I'm just wanted to show off all of my mistakes here because I'm human too.
No mistakes, only happy accidents.
um. Anyways, yeah, this is gonna be a great conversation. I've been in the mood just to talk ships and pilots and stuff, and I've been revisiting Alphabet Squadron and Rogue Squadron, the books, and it's got me back in these fields. So I wanted to come in here and and have some awesome people talk about it. So why don't we go around the room? I'll have you guys introduce yourself. Who are you? Where can we find your content? And I was going to ask your favorite ships in Star Wars, but we're talking relationships with this one. And I'll go to Chase first.
Hi, I'm Chase. You can find me on all the social medias, mostly TikTok at Forward Into the Black. And my favorite ship is a spoiler, but I'll just say Kanan and Hera to make everyone happy.
Okay.
But I want to know the spoiler now, darn it.
You gotta read Alphabet Squadron.
Okay, you know what?
Okay,
I'm getting
gotcha.
there.
I was like,
only one book in, so don't spoil it.
Yeah. Awesome. How about you, Drew?
I'm Andrew, Rogue Leader Drew on TikTok. You can also find me some certain podcasts on YouTube, youtube.com/Andrew and Nikki. Right now, it's mostly Schmodown stuff, but that will be shifting very soon since Schmodown is ending in October. But most of my stuff is on TikTok at Rogue Leader Drew. You can also find me on Instagram at Judy Malanta, but most of my Star Wars stuff is on TikTok. But I'd say my favorite ship, kind of tied between Hera and Kanan, and then also Poe and Finn is a pretty big favorite of mine.
Storm Pilot, got some Storm Pilot action going. If you don't mind me asking, and if you want to be surprised, that's okay. I'm curious what the shift is going to after we end the Schmodown stuff.
Yeah, so most of our podcast stuff for me and my wife right now, again, is Schmodown, but Schmodown is it's having its finale in October. But most of my stuff will go to just a general discussion podcast. A lot of it's just between me and my wife because everybody seems to like our personalities for whatever reason. And then also we were going to start focusing on more Star Wars stuff. I have a podcast that you've been on, Going Rogue, that will shift focus to that once we have more time to talk about Star Wars.
Awesome, love it, and I'll have to stay tuned for that because yes, you guys do have an awesome dynamic, and that's possibly why you guys found each other. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yes, and also thank you everyone in the chat. I know I'm moving this show back 30 minutes. This was the original time. If you all didn't remember that, but yeah, it was at 5:30 for a year. But I am no longer at the job that prevented me from doing it earlier, so moving it back. But last but not least, we have Kels.
Hi, I'm Kels. You can find me on TikTok at Discount Sansa Stark and on Instagram and Twitter at Sansa Skywalkers. My favorite ship is constantly moving around, but currently the ones I'm screaming about the most on basically any social media is Wedge Nora, Wedge Luke, and Quinsage. those are my main ones right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you equally have two ships with the same person, or is this like a sharing
Wedge
is
is a
caring type situation?
He is a bisexual and has 2 hands. So
Oh, all right. That's actually that's how we talk about the pole stars from the High Republic.
exactly,
Have
it's a
a
polycule.
yeah. For me, I'm actually gonna second your Quinlan massage because they're just beautiful together. Like the way it was written in that, I think is excellent. And my next one is going to be Thane Tyrell and Sayana Reed. They're
That's like my 4th
Mhm.
one.
they love cross battle lines. I would do a lot for love, but I wouldn't storm a Star Destroyer. Like, I don't know. He's a
I
bold man.
I actually forgot about those two. That's a good one to say because I haven't read, or I have to go back and revisit that book because I always forget how good it is and how much I love it.
Yeah. For anyone who has not read Lost Stars, please do.
Absolutely.
Also, shout out to Diet in the Force. Also, check out the podcast Diet in the Force Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. There is a really awesome lore master on that show, and I'm there as well. So yeah, definitely come check us out. Let's see here. And yeah, everyone else in the chat, please share yours as well. I have Croya Forever. I take it this is something special for the Galactic Star Cruiser. They went on that together. Let's see here. St. Pat agreed with Wedge and Luke, and
I do fully support Wedge Luke.
Thank you.
California says Galaxy of Heroes got me on a Wedge Biggs ship. Due to how dominant they used to be back in the day. That team on that game, when you get that extra move, you would just tear through people. That was my bread and butter back when I played that game regularly. Anyways, jumping into it, I gotta ask. So, the love of starships and pilots. Where did that come from for you guys? Where did that start? And just whoever feel free to jump into it.
Yeah, I can start that one. So on my mom's side of the family, my grandfather was a pilot in World War II, and my uncle was an aircraft mechanic in Vietnam. So I was surrounded by planes and jets and models as a kid, and then my dad showing me the original Star Wars very, very early on, and then basically watching that and Top Gun essentially back to back really shaped my life. So that has led to the very long journey of just like everything about Star Wars for me has always been about the ships. Like my favorite games were always Rogue Squadron. My favorite books growing up were the X-Wing series. Once I found out Alphabet Squadron was a thing and releasing, I was reading that as it was coming out. And now I'm like flying for real. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
That's awesome. Your setup for your Sims and stuff like that has also been absolutely beautiful.
It's getting a major overhaul in the next couple weeks.
That's
so
fun.
Nice. All right. How about you guys?
Well, I think mine just started with the original trilogy. I've told the story before of Snow Days, being sat in front of the TV with the Betamax, I should say, of A New Hope. And I think it's such a stupid little detail, but like I like when any like new pilot jargon comes into Star Wars. Like one of my something I geek out watching Rogue One is when they're coming into Scarif. And for some stupid reason, when Bodhi and K2 are talking like, "Oh, landing track locked," it's like, I want to see more of that. Give me more of that pilot jargon because it's so cool. But like, yeah, Battle of Endor it's one of my favorite battles. I want to see more of that and just see more angles of that stuff. But like, Yeah, that was the thing that drew me to Star Wars to begin with. Was this? I think in another universe, I was meant to be a jet fighter pilot, but I get motion sickness, so I can't really do that.
Just
So,
fly Cessnas; they're way easier.
I actually got to go up in a friend's Cessna. We flew up towards like Mount St. Helens, and it was a lot of fun. It was terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
It rocks you. That is a teeny tiny aircraft.
Well, it's just like I'm here with my friend's dad, and it's just us two, and we're soaring through the sky, and it made me like appreciate it a lot more because you hop in an airliner and it's this big thing, and it's but yeah, no, you're seconds from death all the time, and I don't say that in a bad way. I in an exciting way. How about you, Kels?
I don't have a exact moment. I just realized that I was drawn to all of the pilot characters growing up without realizing it. And like I also just love watching all of the flying scenes, like Endor, and just watching them fly around, and like also like baby Anakin flying around in episode 1. Maybe because I was 9 years old when I watched it the first time, I just thought that was cool. But yeah, I am terrified of planes though. So I get anxiety on planes, but so yeah, maybe in another life, yeah, I also would be a pilot, but not in this one because I don't do planes, but I'll watch them. I do like watching planes.
That's funny though that both of you you have motion sickness, and then I wonder if it's like it becomes appealing because it's something you can't do or something like that, or I don't know.
Well, like I don't mean right, but like my motion sickness wasn't as bad until I got vertigo, like I think 5 years ago, and then ever since then it's just like I can't, like it got worse. Like I get car sick really badly. I don't get air sick as much as I do car sick and seasick, but it's not fun.
It is not. I have gotten seasick on a boat, and like the thing you want to do the most is like curl up in a ball, and then that's the last thing you should ever do.
Yeah, and
you have to like fight all of your natural instincts to not die. So yeah, that's it's a lot of fun. For me, I do remember getting a airplane book at a book fair way back in the day. I miss book fairs. Are they still a thing? Are they? I don't know.
They should. I don't know, but I miss those.
But it was one of those books that has like the cross section of all the planes in it, and I studied that thing religiously, and I just wanted to know everything about planes. And I was already a Star Wars fan, but I hadn't quite put 2 and 2 together because I mostly watched Empire Strikes Back, and we see the Falcon do a lot of cool stuff in there. But to me, the Falcon was like was a flying, saucer. Like it didn't speak plane to me, like directly. And then
it's an RV. Spaceballs got it right.
It's a space semi.
If the Falcon was a car, I believe it would be an 80s Volkswagen Vanagon.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks.
It's a Volkswagen Vanagon, and someone did the engine swap, an STI engine swap on it. But it's absolutely a Vanagon.
Do it right.
That being said, by the way, the 6-speed transmission actually drops into that thing perfectly. No, I started watching Return of the Jedi religiously, and I became obsessed with XWings after that, and that became everything. I even used to drive a Subaru SVX because I felt the car was shaped like an XWing. That's why I bought it. Subsequently, that's also why I know a lot about Vanagons. But that's awesome. All right, so I posted a question earlier on TikTok on who the best pilots are and who the best ship is. I'm curious where you guys land on this one. So lightning round. Go to Kels first.
Wedge Antilles. If that man was force sensitive, everyone would be done for. I'm a firm believer with that. Like, he survived the Death Star twice on just pure instinct.
That's true.
And blew up the second one. So,
And made it all the way till Rise of Skywalker.
And made it all the way to Rise of Skywalker. Exactly.
He was rolling with what were they called? Phantom Squadron in
in the books.
Yeah, Aftermath.
Mhm.
Yeah, what Phantom Squadron?
Yeah.
On Wedge Luke, I do imagine that Wedge Antilles like holds blowing up the second Death Star over Luke. It's like, oh yeah, you got the little one.
That's the big one.
Bigger
though.
one.
And you're not gonna get to do another one, just so you know. It's over. I won.
I had to fly into the damn thing. I didn't.
Exactly.
Ooh, really on the surface. Ooh, is this
Yeah.
scary?
I went into it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Wedge has been my favorite pilot, like since I've been a Star Wars fan. Not enough spotlight. And when the Aftermath trilogy came out in the first book, I'm like, oh, great, we're gonna get more Wedge Antilles, sort of. Like,
Yeah.
I love Wedge. Yeah, he doesn't get enough of his due, and then that series just made me feel really sorry for him.
yeah, and then
What-
like what is
what
it?
happened.
Life that he gets all excited. He's like courting
Oh.
Mora, and then
Oh my god.
comes back on the Falcon, and the dad's back. It's like, oh, he just can't catch a break. Come
Really
on,
can't.
man.
And then like Teenage Snap's just like being Teenage Snap and just
Mhm.
like constantly on his ass, being like, "Hey, you like my mom, and that's gross." And he's like, "Sorry." Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Bye.
Yeah, he also has the best. He has the best awkward moments too. Like that whole book starts out with him being captured and tortured for like a while. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't
Dude.
finished Aftermath, but it was like Kels was like dogging me to read Aftermath, and I like started it, and it's like, yeah, it's Wedge. Oh, great, Wedge is captured.
It gets
And
so
he's
much
like
better. The
really
things that happen.
casual about being captured too. He's like, oh, that's fine. I'll figure this out.
It does get better.
Um,
I think the second book is probably the best one out of the three.
Yeah, the second one is my favorite.
same. Sinjir Wrath Velas comes out
Oh,
swinging and
yeah.
becomes
my
one of the
love.
greatest characters.
He is. I need more
I might
of
have to
him.
do a whole episode on just the Aftermath books. All right, we're gonna start doing episodes on book trilogies. That's it. Sold.
I will join you in the Aftermath one.
I gotta re-listen to them.
Yeah,
That's the case.
I gotta go through them.
Let's see. I have Job the Slut in the chat. Says watching pilots in Star Wars, you need suspension of disbelief because imagine they ran out of fuel in the middle of deep space. Nah, just shoot me down. Yeah, that would be problematic. Something like that happens in one of the books where the person is trapped in their starfighter and their engines won't run, and they have to go outside to fix it.
That is my
And
worst fear.
It's the most harrowing. It's so terrifying, like the way it's told and what happens, because it's just you and nothing forever in all directions. And like if you mess up, if you lose your grip on your ship, you guys separate and you just never get it back. It's crazy. Even thinking of the darkness of that abyss is terrifying me right now.
Oh my god, no.
But yeah, we're getting a lot of love. Cal saying A-Wings are so freaking cool. For Cal, it's Poe, Hera, and then Wedge.
Hey, Wedge did train Poe, so
and Snap
just
for
saying.
that.
And
yeah.
Snap.
Let's see. Shout out to the Lady Luck and Lando and Kasha. And Baby Kadara makes 3. Read Shadow of the Sith. There's some cool
God.
stuff in there.
I'm so behind on all the books. God, I'm so
I love-
behind. I'm glad Shimoda's coming in so I can catch up on everything.
I bet you're happy to not have Star Wars playing 24/7.
Like it's now that there's like light at the end of the tunnel because 3 years of it just like nonstop. It's kind of like I want to do other things other than watch all the movies back to 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 back.
I feel that. I do feel
Yeah.
that. That's why it's so urgent for me to keep up on everything. Like I'm caught up and I'm
Mhm.
terrified of getting behind, Let's see. St. Pat says my top 3 are Wedge, Wexley, and Chewie.
Oh, we always forget about
Ooh.
Chewie.
People forget about sleep on Chewie. He's a fantastic pilot.
Mhm.
But since other species are so short-lived that they're like his pets, he's like, you can take it for the next 40 years or so. That's
I do
cool.
like that moment in Solo when like Kira's like, yeah, we definitely need to do that, and he's like, God, this. It's like, what are you doing in there? Get out of the seat.
Yeah. Well, Chewie also. This is going to be something I was going to talk about later. I was curious if you guys had any piloting related hot takes. My hot take is that Han is actually one of the worst people we've ever seen fly the Falcon. In that Lando flying the Falcon through the second Death Star is more impressive of a feat, and debatably Chewie flying through the crystalline structure of the planet Crate. Now, asteroid field, everything's moving, right? Obviously. And so that's super, super difficult to navigate. But I'm curious what you guys think.
Hot take
that's
for
hard.
pilot? That's really difficult because they're my favorite parts of the movies. There's one of my only hot takes was, as much as I do love stuff like the T-70, I think the one thing where Legends really took off really well was the ships and the pilots. Like Star Destroyer Eclipse is awesome. The ridiculous variants of the TIE, shout out to TIE Tank. And just like the X-Wing Advanced and the X-Wing Scout, that
the
that
Stealth
is my
X is the coolest thing in my opinion.
The expanded universe ships, I think, really outshine the new canon ships. That's probably my hottest take.
I agree with that. Like, there's so many, like, especially playing like Rogue Squadron, like over and over again. Like, there's certain reasons you would use a certain ship. This one goes slower, but it has more shields, and I just think there was more like variety and more in depth to the ships of like, other than, hey, this looks cool, and all that stuff. But yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I loved like tinkering with like going back to Rogue Squadron. What if I flew this mission in an A-wing and not really surviving as long as you would in a Y-wing? It's just stuff like that was really cool. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, Ebonhawk is cooler than the Falcon.
How about the Outrider?
I think the Falcon's cooler than the Outrider.
Okay.
But the Ebonhawk is the coolest of those style of ships.
What do you think, Kels?
I don't know. I don't think about my hot takes enough. At least not when it comes to piloting. Luke's a better pilot than his dad. So
I would say my hot take for Luke is he's a good pilot, but he's not as good as everybody thinks he is. He crashes twice in Empire Strikes Back.
This is true.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
that's fair.
If he didn't have the Force going for him, it would have been if he didn't have the Force going for him, it would have been bad. Same with Anakin. If neither of them had the Force on their side, they could not do what Wedge did without the Force.
Okay.
That's my hot take.
All right.
Yeah, like the only other thing, the most slept on pilot in all of Star Wars, hype Faison.
Yeah.
Hype Faison. Maybe not my favorite pilot, but so good. So good.
I think Resistance is slept on.
Yes.
We have people, happy with Ebonhawk Love. Yeah. So the difference in the ships, we also get to see that X Imperial flying that ugly.
Yeah.
The
modified TIE. That thing's cool.
I really enjoyed Resistance. It doesn't get as much love as it should.
I still need to watch it. I'm getting to it. I'll get to it. I'm just reading the books right now.
2 seasons, you can binge it in like a day. Yeah, really. So
probably,
it's really quick.
I literally did binge the second season in one day because I was so invested. Like I was gripped once we got to to the stuff that happened with Tam.
Yeah.
And then once we got to Tam and Rucklin, and then having them side with the pirates, and then like have to deal with stuff aboard the Colossus. There's like a lot of really cool stuff. It also even gets into some Force lore. Definitely underrated. The whole story of the Doza family, I think is really well done, and it's like the opposite of Lost Stars in the best way possible. So yeah, if that's not reason enough for you to give the show another shot,
the one thing about Resistance, it was a show literally made for me. So I loved it from day one. But I think like the moment where I was like, I can't believe people either A, haven't watched this, or B, dislike it, is the Hosnian Prime connection in the show. And I was like, this is deep. This is very, very deep. And I really enjoyed that. Like, not going to spoil it because I feel like no one's watched Resistance except for us three. It's like that was like the big moment for me of like, wow, this show's going places, and I really like it.
Yeah, I went as far as to download the Disney X Plus whatever app on my TV because Disney Plus wasn't around then. It's like, and I don't have cable, so I was like, I need a way to watch this show because I'm really enjoying the first two episodes. I got into it, and then I was like, I have no way to watch this, so I got my parents' cable account. And I downloaded this, and how everybody does it. So like, it was fun to watch.
I actually think that's one of the reasons the show kind of failed or in popularity. One, obviously there's things with the sequel trilogy, but more than that, it was right on the cusp of everyone cutting cords to cable companies and just having no way of watching it. I literally had no way of watching it. I mean, even Rebels I had to acquire at a certain point of time, and after a while you're like, oh, this is I'm going down a path I don't want to follow. Or but yeah, now that there's a way to watch it, we need something else. They had the problem of running their show right up to the current sequel trilogy, and they couldn't really go anywhere from there because they were at the same time frame as The Last Jedi, like literally was concurrent. So there wasn't much you could do after that, in my opinion. But
leading up to Rise of Skywalker because they're all there at Exegol.
They were.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, I read the novelization. I was like, oh wait, those are like Resistance people.
Oh well, like that was one of my biggest gripes about like the Exegol thing. Like, one, put Wedge Antilles in an X-wing. Why is he in the Falcon? Put him in an X-wing.
I was like, why is he in the Falcon right now?
And then two, when you read the novelization, it's like all these characters from Resistance are calling in. I'm like, why wasn't this in the movie? Like, just hear him in the background. I'm like, oh, that's Kaz. That's it would have been so like people that are into the shows. It would have been such a cool moment. Like, it would go over everybody else's heads, but all the rest of us were like, oh, there's Kaz and the other people. So
even the Ghost Crew like was there and like had a shout out in the novelization. So
Shriv should have been in the Falcon on the gun.
I know. Nora was the other gunner. I'm a firm believer of that. It was Wedge and Nora as the gunners in the Falcon with Lando.
I'll believe it.
But you're right. Go ahead.
Let's say that was just like on an anecdote. Like my highlight from Star Wars Celebration was like running into Christopher Sean, who voiced Kazuto,
nice.
and just I'm like, hey.
Yeah, I just love how the fandom like brings people together. Even people in it are fans of it, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not doing anything. I just want to be here." It's really cool. What do you guys think is the best feat overall, ship-wise, that we see in Star Wars?
I think Vader versus Phoenix Squadron is pretty cool.
He was a menace. I totally forgot about that.
That is cool. Learning to fly planes, my appreciation from Kylo Ren and the TIE Whisper, flying at like 2 feet of altitude, going that fast, like
and then
All right,
tumbling
man.
over.
Yeah, like that's
I'm sure he's fine.
yeah. But yeah, I think for me it's those two.
Yeah. I want to see Kylo Ren get out and just be like so dizzy. He's just like,
Yeah, how did he just get out and just started strutting? I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
there's no way.
not a mark on him.
he has Skywalker blood. That means
Mm.
on the inside, he's like, don't fall down. She's looking. Oh my gosh, she's looking at me right now.
Don't fall down.
Look cool. How's my cape? Can anyone see my cape? That's my headcanon for that scene, at least. What do you guys think is the best feat?
Oh god.
Hey, more Wedge love, surviving not only the Battle of Yavin, the Battle of Hoth, the Battle of Endor, and then the Battle of Exegol. Like that, he is like so many. Like if he has on his X-wing, he has like so many ticks.
Not only
just,
that,
like,
Battle of Jakku.
yes, Battle of Jakku too as well. But I mean, Kessel Run's another big feat that nobody thought could be done. So
Yeah.
guys, because the Kessel Run is probably my favorite part about Solo. It was just like pure Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, just the visuals of the Star Destroyer coming through the little tunnel.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh no.
That was our only way out.
I would also shout out Attack of the Clones, the speeder chase, like Obi-Wan like catching the lightsaber and then like lining up Anakin perfectly. Like that's for someone who hates flying.
Really
good at it.
That is true. We also have the opening scene of Revenge of the Sith. There's just not a lot of crazy stuff, but I still love that scene. For me, the thing that my mind jumps to is Poe Dameron, his showing up at the Force Awakens, because he takes down. How many times does he take down? 10. Okay, I was like,
watch that scene
10 as well.
I know. It's one of the things I have to know.
Yeah, just drinking and just like moving around, takes out 10 of them, and everyone, even on the ground, like everyone stops fighting. You're like, holy crap.
I think Poe, I don't want to say Poe slept on, but I think the stuff that we see Poe doing in an X-Wing is stuff that like we've never really seen before. I think like taking out all of the ties on Takodana, but also on Starkiller, like S-foil is closed, shooting in, popping every little video game beeping sign, and then S-foil is closed again, shooting out right before it explodes. That was amazing. Drifting in a ship in The Last Jedi, super cool. I think Poe's piloting skills throughout that trilogy is like something that's just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Lightspeed skip
definitely.
is still cool.
So cool.
Well, and even then we have Poe in Resistance, flying through, like he does some cool stuff in Resistance too, and especially when you consider the physics of how they were flying through a cored out planet from early tests of Starkiller Base. Understanding that the gravity shifts at a certain point in time. There's still a lot I want to know about piloting, though, in Star Wars. Like, we get some glimpses of it in books like Alphabet Squadron, but like, how the hell does like a B-wing go from in atmosphere to like space flight? It feels like
yeah, aerodynamics, not really.
Yeah. I think the X-Wing, at least like the first X-Wing novel, and then the Alphabet Squadron trilogy, like helps out a little bit of it's just like kind of like establishing like there are atmospheric pilots and then there are space pilots. Like there's people who like they cannot do both. It feels very Air Force versus Navy type deal. But yeah, I think it's repulsors is what it all comes down to.
Yeah, repulsor lift. Yeah.
I just feel like a B-wing has to maneuver like a potato, which we do somewhat see, but it's still a cool ship. Really interesting design for a ship.
I love the B-wing.
I really want to know why are there no like seat belts in X-wings?
That is a very good question.
Like
Like,
I don't
how are they
remember.
not flying around?
I don't ever remember seeing any in the original trilogy. There are some in the Snowspeeders. In the Jedi Interceptors, I can in the Eta-2 there are because they unbuckle before they get out. But like the X-wing, even when Poe is on Last Jedi, like he bonks his head after he goes at the thing. It's like you shouldn't be able to. You know what I mean? It's like where are the seatbelts?
I think there are. I'm looking it up right now. I have the. I do have the complete
Now I don't know, 'cause that
diagrams
seems
of
like an
all
oversight.
of all these ships. I think they have gravity generators.
That would make sense.
Well, I mean, okay, so we know that they have compensators, right?
Mhm.
But we've also seen at times that there's only so much the compensators can do, and at certain times they can outmaneuver their compensators. We see that both in Legends and in canon, and so I feel like a seatbelt might be a good addition, just in case, you know.
Just some harnesses. Don't
Yeah,
need a whole lot.
You're not wrong, but they also don't put shields on TIE fighters. So, like, I
That's
feel
because the
like
Empire just doesn't care about his people.
Yeah,
as we learned in Last Jedi, they're coming from basically the same buyer. They're like, yeah, safety features in a starfighter.
You're fine.
You're all
Does-
gonna die.
Don't the TIE fighter pilots have a saying? It's like fly and die. Isn't that from the Alphabet Squadron books? I heard that somewhere.
I think it's from either Alpha Squadron or it's from a certain point of view.
It's from one of those. I heard that. I remember reading that somewhere. It's like fly and die was like a common saying between TIE fighter pilots because like you might not come back from this basic mission we go on.
I don't remember.
So-
I don't
Yeah,
remember
their manuals say you fly in formation and just all go straight at the target, fire as much as you can because basically they're just mobile turrets, and because the Empire just doesn't care about any of their pilots. There's like, we'll get more. Like the Empire is like,
yeah, mass produce all the
yeah,
fighters. And
it's
the
like
pilots.
McDonald's. They're like cheeseburgers. You know, they're like don't care about the quality. We just,
And they're
and
no
as
longer
long as
called.
they're-
Yeah, they're no longer called eyeballs. They're called burgers, cheeseburgers.
Yeah, it's like that in Lost Stars because Ciena has that whole like crisis of where she's just like, we're just sending people out. Like we lost some really good pilots, but they all just died because they didn't have any protection whatsoever. And like the TIE just like self-explode if it has like the tiniest little like hit or anything. So
and Cal says, I swear that the TIE fighters have harnesses. TIEs do have harnesses, and if you look inside of a TIE, the chair is like up in the middle, and there's a lot of room around you in all directions. And so if there wasn't harnesses, they would just be rolling around the cockpit all the time. It sounds like really funny.
Yeah, Alphabet. I think Alphabet Squadron does. I mean, I know it does. I don't know if they have a saying, but they dive really deep. Like with Erica, like she talks about like it's not even so much like yes, it's like the Empire's evil, but it is very much like you won't need shields if you're a good enough pilot. Like that's the whole mentality, and it's like if you die, it's your fault.
If he dies, he dies. So you have Sufjan saying, what I want to know is why they gave him protective helmets before seatbelts. Seems like the wrong way around.
helmets
That
are
is
fashionable.
talked about in the first X-wing book, where it's Corran knocks his head
Oh yeah, that's right.
on the right side, because like you said, they have inertial. I looked it up. They do have the inertial dampeners, which keeps them planted, but they're still being moved, and like when they're like pulling G's and stuff, like the sticks will lock and like digs into them. So yes, helmets, good idea. Seatbelts, who cares?
I totally forgot about that because Corran likes to fly with his compensator light so he can feel what direction he's being pulled. Because he's a badass. So Corran Horn was one of the biggest like self-insert chads of the 90s, in my opinion. I love the character. I mean, I love the books and stuff, but as a character, he's like, all right, I'm a good-looking, like rebellious, a top agent for Corellia, but we had to run, and now I'm the best pilot. I also have the Force, and I'm gonna be a Jedi. And you're like,
What a Mary Sue.
no. And women throw themselves at
Oh,
men
Of course.
throughout the entire book. There's
Going back to X-Wing, I was like, it happens 3 times where it's just like, oh, I'm getting ready for bed. Oh, a hot babe. Oh, no, I don't need a hot babe right now. I'll send you on your way. Oh, another hot babe.
and all the girls all say the same thing. The fact you're turning me down makes me want you even more. And he's like, "Star, I'm all about the mission for now." And you're like, okay, King of Chad, calm down. There's still really good books, but
I've only
like
gotten,
they're
like-
very 90s.
Yeah. I only got like what was it, like 4 books in, but I didn't have time to catch up on them, so I gotta revisit those because
You
I
can
really
definitely
enjoy.
Stop once they stop saying Stackpole. For the yeah.
This is true. And also, if you want to wait and do them audio format, of course they do have them in an old audio format, but they have been re-releasing them, and the re-release are completely redone, and so you get Mark Thompson in the mix, you get the better sound effects, so you no longer have the old guy that says chorus scant.
Yes,
instead
that
of-
was because I listened to all my books and it always killed me. It's like, oh, Coruscant, and it was like, oh, they said Palpatine's really funny too. I was like, oh,
Okay, not a pilot hot take, but Mark Thompson's best voice is Oral Korg, not Thrawn.
No, his best one's Marcion Rowe, but that's another discussion.
I like her. I like his Jazamari. I think Jazamari is my favorite voice of his.
He does have a good Jazamari.
I
His
love his
Singer voice
oral.
is also really good. He has a good Singer voice.
I'm just I can't remember his voice for Quark, but I definitely remember his voice for Jazamari. Of like,
I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
I can't even do it. It's just like, after this, I'll take you. And it's just like,
yeah, no.
no. I always laugh about that scene. It felt
Oh my
very
god.
ham-fisted. So we've been talking about a lot of books and comics and shows and stuff like that. What are the must reads of this category for anyone watching who, it wants to get into things, or for people who may not have read everything?
Lost Stars and Aftermath.
I would start Lost Stars definitely. Inferno Squadron was really enjoyable.
Oh yeah, that one's good too.
That was really good, especially with if you listen to an audio form. Janina Gavankar does an amazing job narrating that book. She's so good. She's like the number one character I want to see jump into live action. But yeah, I think I haven't finished Alphabet Squadron and I haven't finished the X-Wing series, so yeah, that's where I would start.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is like the most recommended book I think I've ever done is Alphabet Squadron ever. I think, and I will say this: my first read through Alphabet Squadron, I had just come off of reading like the first 4 books of The Expanse, and so I was very much into like that, and then the original X-Wing books, where it's very detailed about the ships and like how the targeting computers work, what the little symbols mean on the HUD and stuff like that. And so like Alphabet Squadron wasn't that, and I was like really expecting that, but I think the character development in Alphabet Squadron and like how attached you get to that squadron is like the best it gets in Star Wars for me. It's just every single one of those members is just so close to my heart.
Yeah. No, I feel that. How about anything comic related? Y'all reading?
Ooh, I don't do the comics. It's so hard to keep up with comics.
The Poe comics are good. I'm reading the Poe comics right now, and there's some good Black Squadron content in there.
Yeah. I always love the Abednego pilot. I can't remember his name.
It's a Beastie
one?
Boys song. Just say a Beastie
Wait,
Boys song.
either Elo Asti or Kai Thornelli. Which one?
The first one.
Oh,
I can't
Asti.
pronounce it,
Asti.
so.
Yeah.
I went back and reread some of like the Warrior Princess books, like the old X-Wing Rogue Squadron ones. Those still, I think, hold up pretty well. Not the best, good enough.
You can say that about a lot of legends.
Most
No,
of
that is good. What's a battle that you want to see more of?
Ooh. I would go with the Battle of Jakku because reading about it in Aftermath and then also playing through it in Battlefront 2 is so cool. But I also want to see more point of views of Endor because there's always this line that stuck with me with Nora Wexley said, like, she said being at the Battle of Endor was like there's more ships than stars. I was like, that sounds awesome. I want to see more of that because we didn't. I remember behind the scenes, like Lucas would tell ILM to scale back on the ships. It's like, no, more ships. It's like, I want more ships in there. So I would like to see a different point of view, maybe like from Nora Wexley's point of view, to see more of the Battle of Endor. That'd be so cool because that's my favorite battle to date.
Yeah. I would love to see somehow imagined because like we even get like Will Lark's point of view from the Battle of Endor. Like I'd love to see that side of the battle above Endor. Just we see a lot of it, and it is my favorite ship battle ever. But yeah, I just want to see everyone's perspective.
I love Will Lark. So from a certain point of view, Porkins.
Okay.
Oh boy.
No disrespect to Porkins or anyone at the Battle of Yavin. If you're ever gonna complain about ships not making sense in the sequel trilogy, please remember they told Porkins to eject into deep space. And I'm like, we could make this lore of like nobody liked Porkins. Or it's just, hey, you have to have, it's a fighter pilot scene. You got to have someone say eject, eject. And this is just the only spot they can fit it in. Like, y'all are still in space. His beard is still showing, which means his skin is showing. He's not going to, like, you can't eject. And I'm just like, I love the trench run so much, but that part always gets me. It's like, I can't shake it. Eject, bud. What?
Where do you want me to go?
You'll figure it out, Perkins.
No, they wanted him to flip upside down and eject and hopefully make it through a viewport.
It's like,
I'm inside now.
Slapping
Like,
against one of the windows, like, oh.
No, it's funny you say that. I mean, like, why'd they have to name him Porkins? Like,
Yeah.
it's just. Did he see that in the script? I'm playing Porkins. I also something that would be equally as bad as, if not worse, a certain point of view, Dak Ralter.
Oh.
oh wait, I can't remember that one. Wait, I think it's been so long since I've read that.
Yeah, he was Luke's gunner on the.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, didn't didn't end up super well for him. But what you said makes me wonder, like, how do you guys feel about you? Because we all love these things. The physics don't make sense, and I'm okay with that. But how do you feel about like when certain things get brought up, or like what certain things look like? Does it ever bug you, or I don't know? What are you guys? where are you guys at when it comes to the physics of these starships being in space?
Physics hurts my brain, so I just don't think about it, and I just say like, it's in space, so it makes sense.
So the thing that I'll say about, like, especially the original trilogy, is these things look like fighter jets, but fly like World War II planes. and they're in space, and they could go up and down and backwards and wherever they wanted, and they don't. I think in the sequel trilogy, we do see a TIE fighter that does do up and down movements, if I'm like remembering it correctly, which is like very easy to do in a spaceship. But yeah, I think it's just supposed to be fun and look cool. I can't remember who did a video of it. It's like the dumbest thing to complain about is Star Wars spaceships, because you're telling me that we're in this world where they can go the speed of light or faster and get halfway across the galaxy, but the ships need to be right up next to each other to shoot at each other. Whereas like the modern aircraft of today can like shoot a missile 100 miles out, doesn't even see it, and just shoots it. But yeah, in Star Wars, they have to be like literally 10 feet away from each other in a capital ship to blow them up.
I think I know what video you're talking about, because like the capital ships have to be close to, like, it's kind of sort of mimics like old Navy, like
they fly like they're boats.
Yeah.
They're not like aircraft or spacecraft. They're boats.
I love how both the good guys and the bad guys are on the same plane. Like no one's coming in diagonal or upside down. You know.
Like I think The Expanse does a really good job of that. Of like, kind of like you're in space, right? You're doing your thing in space, and all of a sudden, out of the middle of nowhere, a torpedo's heading your way, and it's just like you don't know who it came from, where that was shot from. So like that stuff is cool. But with Star Wars, it's cool. I think there is a cool factor to it. Like very similar to like Top Gun. Like some of those maneuvers are not possible in those planes, but they do it because it's cool. And I think Star Wars is the same. Like when you see like in formation X-wings turning down like that, I'm like that. That's not how space works. That's not how fighter does.
I've never had a problem.
Physics work.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with like the quote unquote physics of Star Wars, as long as it looks visually appealing and subconsciously, like, because you're watching a movie and they act like fighter, like ships. They act like fighter jets. As long as you subconsciously think like, oh yeah, that's how physics works. As long as it looks and moves like you would think a fighter jet would move, regardless if it's in space or an atmosphere, I think it's fine. As cool as the Poe like drifting out of like the gun turret, and then I think that was one of my least favorite maneuvers Poe's ever done in the movies, where he comes out, he drifts right out, and then he does this like circle thing, and that bothered me to no end. I'm like, why would it? Because again, visually, if you think about how like a fighter jet's supposed to move, supposedly, it's like it didn't ever make sense to me for him to come out of that and then come around and then keep moving forward in that circle. So it's like, as long as it doesn't break what we generally think how these ships should move, I'm fine with it. So I never like, well, physically they should, because I did a little thing on my TikTok page of a X-Wing animation of I can't remember what it's called, the turn. He comes out and he spins and he comes around, and I have all these comments like, oh, the G-forces would kill the pilot. I'm like, it looks cool. That's why I did it. So
yeah, no, it's one of
Go ahead. Oh, I was saying that if you're talking about the drift in Last Jedi, right? Coming around the gun turret.
Yeah, the drift, and he comes out like, and then he comes around and he's still moving, but then he moves back, and like I'd have to have like visual aids to do it, but it's like that doesn't make sense.
I have the complete opposite reaction, because I'm like, oh, good, they're starting to make it like spaceships now. Because that's like a very Battlestar Galactica, where it's just like the idea of like I can just go backwards and like shoot, so just like coming backwards and then boosting forwards. That is a very Battlestar Galactica movie. Yes, we're finally. It took us 40 years, but we're finally in spaceships.
No, I think it's funny because like you said, it would change a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like on the trench run, technically, you could have just pitched your X-wing like this,
you could
and just floated like that, this, and just shot down the hole. You know, and I mean, I always get these questions of like, well, if they had just turned off their engines and they would have floated at that speed, and you're like, but they were accelerating. So if they stopped at that speed, no, they're at max speed. And you're like, but you have to realize that the air resistance that slows you down, that they aren't pushing against, is what determines your max speed. And it becomes a weird of like, no, I just want to hate this thing, and you're like,
The Last
okay,
Jedi
all
like
right,
ship.
that's okay.
It started with like space start fuel, and I'm like, what they were doing even with those tubes? Like they're latching the tubes, XWings and the Ys, and that it evolved from like, oh, space have fuel to like what you said. It's like, oh, like I'm to the physics of how this is wrong, and I'm like, buddy, I've got 6 days you're gonna hate.
I mean, the concept of Luke having practice in atmosphere in a ship and being able to fly in the Death Star would be like if you've driven on a road all your life and then now you're doing it on ice, in the sky. But yeah, okay. I have a quick random non sequitur for you coming from Brooke B. Dazzler at Far Far Away Factory. She asks, quick, who in Star Wars would be singing Great Balls of Fire?
Snap.
Wedge. Also Sap.
He learned it from
That sounds more like
Snap.
that sounds more like a snap thing. He'd do with a Valacord instead of a piano.
I would say Lumpy. you wouldn't understand him, but it's a total Lumpy thing to do.
Or hype Faison. I think hype Faison would be.
Hype,
that
yeah,
kind of
for
stuff.
sure.
Yeah,
Sold on hype.
I just love that Donald Faison made his way into Star Wars. That's half the
He
reason I
got
love
to
hype.
keep
he kept
name.
his last name.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's like, oh man, I wish I could do that.
Brooks with that was Snap also. That's awesome though. Okay, so we know we had the announcement of Rogue Squadron. I'm curious what you guys want to see from that movie. Like, we know it's going to be about fighter pilots. We don't exactly know what era or anything like that, or any details with it. What would you guys like to? What are you expecting from it?
Top Gun, but with X-Wings.
Wedge Antilles, Wedge Antilles, Wedge Antilles.
If Wedge isn't in it, what's
And
the
he
point of
needs-
making
if-
it?
If Wedge isn't the main protagonist, or if at the very least like the mentor to the main protagonist, I'm gonna hurl a chair at the wall.
Yeah.
Because
I agree. It's either we recast Wedge to be younger, or Dennis Lawson is just Maverick, baby.
Babe.
Okay.
I want to see like the scene from Maverick just with 2 Z95 headhunters just going like that, and then or even better, like 2 T70s, just like totally random, and then Wedge with a T65 just like shoom, right between them. Andrew, you said something earlier that if you watch Resistance, you do get a lot of it. Pilot jargon, just like
yes,
like I want to know what the Fox 1, 2, and 3 is. In Star Wars, that's like there's a TikTok account that will occasionally like do Squadrons gameplay footage and then throw over like just like pilot comm chatter, and I'm like, oh,
I've seen that one.
Oh, it's so
I want that. That's like one of my biggest gripes about like all the movies and stuff. Is it's like it sounds like just normal people wrote the dialogue for fighter pilots, and it's like, he's behind you, I'm on him, don't worry. It's like, I want an actual pilot.
He's
like,
behind.
I'm like check your 6. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like actual just the way fighter pilots should like talk while they're in battle. It's not like, hey, look out behind you. Where is he? I don't know where. Because like I remember in Battle of Yavin when people was like, oh, they're coming in 0.3. It's like, I need more of that, like decimals and and stuff like that. It'd be so cool to see. Just like, yeah,
You know what this needs? More math.
more math.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
give me numbers. Just give me
Mhm.
vectors.
I
Yeah.
think there's a moment in one of the X-Wing books where Corrin is like, I think his like guns jam or his concussion missiles jam, where he's just like, I'm just gonna boost and you're gonna lock onto me, and then they're gonna have the Y-wings send out all the missiles while locking onto Corrin, and just having something like that where it's like only a good pilot can solve this problem, and just like one of those plot devices of like, this is totally ridiculous. But that's what I want to see, is just these good, like, this is good piloting and fun nerdy stuff.
Okay, yeah, I'm on board with that. Weird problem solving that
Yes.
only the pilot in the moment can do. Like I think about like rally drivers. So I was watching this snow rally, and the drivers like brakes stopped working, like the brake pedal stopped working. So he had to use this emergency brake. But he's also in the snow. So he also had to put the nose of his car into the snowbank just deep enough to slow him down without spinning out for the rest of the race. And you're like, that's really cool. I like that type of stuff. All right. So we have a lot of good ideas. If you could greenlight your own thing, right? What would you make? What era would you set it in? And it I was gonna say it can't be about Wedge, but no, it could be about Wedge. I
Good, 'cause
feel
mine's
like I
about
know what
Wedge.
all right. So what movie are you making? People in the chat, what movie are you gonna make as well?
If I could get the Alphabet Squadron novels realized into cinema, I would. I don't think that's happening.
That's
But
too easy.
yeah, well, it also like Rogue Squadron, the movie, like the game that I grew up on. Like I grew up on like X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and then Rogue Squadron on the 64, and like that's becoming a movie. Like I can't ask for more.
Yeah.
I mean, an X-Wing, like a Rogue Squadron trilogy, that sounds like a great greenlight.
I would like something with more with Inferno Squadron, because like I said, the next person I want to see realized in live action from any part of the canon that they have now is Iden Versio. She's such a fascinating character to me, and to have more of that side of, especially when she's in like not so much all on the boots on the ground, more starfighter stuff, because she's supposed to be an amazing pilot as well. So I think something with Iden Versio and an Inferno Squadron during probably the New Republic era when she's hunting down Imperials, I think that would be fun to see.
Yeah, that would be really cool. She does come back into Star Wars, but as the voice of Ahsoka's mom.
Get her on film as Iden Versio. Come on.
Also, she operated one of the arms for an alien in The Mandalorian.
I think it was one of the eyeballs for one of
yes,
the
one
Mon
of the
Calamari.
eyeballs. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I found it very convenient she was there. It's like, oh, sure, that's why she's there. Sure. She's not talking to the ups while she's there.
Oh, I'm sure they have a very limited pool of people that they can be like, we need you last minute. Like,
Yeah.
you need to have already gone through this whole vetting process. But no, we definitely, I think it's a waste to, to not have someone as awesome as her. Okay, I would love to see, and this isn't an Alphabet Squadron character, but I want to see the backstory for Major Soren Keyes. I want to see him. He comes up as one of the most badass pilots around, and has a different moral compass than a lot of the others, and he just cares about. He kind of reminds me of the protagonist from the Twilight Company Battlefront book, where he's like, I've just been fighting for so long that it doesn't really matter what side I'm fighting for at this point. I just care about my people. But I want to see him coming up through the ranks and like learning his stuff. That would be really cool.
I have a headcanon about Soren Keyes that he's very similar to Vader as Thrawn, where Keyes probably figured it out as well. And I do just want like a moment of like Vader and Warren flying together, and Vader getting very frustrated that he's being outflown by someone who's not force sensitive. Like that is a headcanon that has happened. It's like he's like, I could kill him right now. It'd be difficult, but I could do it, but I won't because we need him.
That'd be pretty cool. I do like that. Kels, what's your story?
Definitely. So like post aftermath era. So it's like Wedge's flight school with Snap, Nora, Baby Poe, like his flight school. Just I want that. Plus I really want just the in between story of Wedge and Nora between the aftermath series and Resistance Reborn. Like we know what happens, but I want to know like how we got from the end of aftermath to like Resistance Reborn, because there's like a bunch of time in there, and I want to know what the middle of their little love story is. So.
We're also seeing some love in the chat for Lyndon Javes. I haven't played Squadrons.
Lyndon
I
Javes.
haven't either.
Lyndon Javes is cool.
Mhm.
I like Lyndon Javes. We don't really see him flying that much. It is very much he's just a good person that was on the wrong side of things and makes everything better. But definitely his relationship with like Hera and Wedge throughout Squadrons is really cool. So yes, Lyndon James is really cool, but we don't see him flying too often.
Yeah. But I would like to see your idea, Kels, or have that told to us in some way. That would be really cool. Also, in the Alphabet Squadron books, towards the end, they're aboard a Star Destroyer that Hera is piloting. But the story's not about Hera, right? So it's like, there is a whole backstory to how we got to that point that I want to that I would like. It's like it's kind of casual, like, yeah, we gotta start a story now, like, don't worry about it. So yeah, we got a lot of cool ideas. I have Becca in the chat saying Kels is the Queer Ascendancy representation, which is their podcast. So definitely check it out. And I need to have Becca back on here again. You
haven't had her on in a
delightful.
while. She is.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. So I want to thank you guys for coming out and for talking to me about this stuff. I'm curious on to kind of close things out. I want us to go around and talk about if you have any closing thoughts, any things we miss, honorable mentions, any of that stuff. But I also want to ask about your excitement level for Andor. I know we didn't really talk about, but there was some cool piloting stuff that happened in Rogue One. I do still feel weird about watching a ship cut another ship with its ship. That part always felt weird to me, but yeah, excitement level for Andor coming up, and do you think we're going to see any of these crazy high flying shenanigans in that show?
Closing thoughts. Apologies to Harris and Dula. I feel like we haven't talked about her enough on this episode. The kind of like a similar moment from Resistance for me of like the moment that made it. The moment that I loved Rebels all the way from the beginning, but the moment that I was like, this is amazing, is Hera flying the B-wing. That like super like a super fun scene that I think is incredibly emotional, and I think the music they have with it and just like how happy she looks in that, like she's never really looks that happy in that show, but when she's flying the B-wing, she's happy. So that is,
and it even is amplified by watching her as a child in the Bad Batch flying on her back, and like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I love Hera, and I knew that Hera was from Rebels, but I read Alphabet Squadron before I watched through Rebels, and so I knew a lot about Hera Syndulla, and like watching Rebels like with all the knowledge of Hera, like she's my favorite of all time. She's my favorite in that show. So, but yeah, Andor, man, I can't express how excited I am for that show. Like Kenobi was, I don't want to say I was excited for it. I was more dreading it. I was definitely in the same part of like Julia and Beth of like, this is going to be, I'm going to love this. This is going to be an awful experience. The first and last episode of Kenobi were difficult. But Andor, I'm thoroughly excited for, like more than any of the other shows that are announced. I'm really excited to see this like fledgling rebellion. I think the concept almost feels like, hey, remember when Cassian just shot that dude? And we're gonna have a show basically kind of revolving around that scene and building up to that. And I'm like, yes, I want to see all the dirty deeds of the early rebellion. Yeah, I'm so excited for Andor.
Do you think Star Wars is going to edit that scene and make that guy shoot first?
Please don't. Please don't. Like just as badly, hand comes up with a blaster pistol.
You're gonna like edit him like.
I still laugh when I think about the edit when they made Han the first time they smoothed it out, but when they made him walk behind Jabba the Hutt, but they're like, oh, he has a tail, and so he looks like a car. He's just like, and you're like,
oh my god,
that was so distracting. I can't even, like.
I recently watched and rewatched A New Hope. If you have not watched A New Hope after Kenobi, I do recommend it. It's terrible to go through. It's a very sad movie after Kenobi. But no, just the I'll need to leave this scene alone. It's not that big of a deal.
Awesome. And then where can we find you and your awesome content?
Yeah, you can find me at Forward Into the Black everywhere, but I'm mostly on TikTok. Yeah. Forward Into the Black.
Awesome.
And how about you, Andrew?
Final thoughts again. I do echo the not enough Hera love during this episode. We talked a lot about Wedge Antilles, but I have no problem talking about Wedge Antilles, favorite pilot of all time. But Hera, took Wedge under her wing during Rebels. So yeah, but
Baby Wedge.
Yeah.
Baby Wedge.
No one told me about Baby Wedge.
I wanted it to be a surprise for you. That's why I
I'm
didn't
glad I
tell
was
you.
surprised, but I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
but
this is
yeah, as far as
hobby,
Andor
and
goes,
that guy's gonna die. Okay.
Yeah, but as far as Andor goes, yeah, I'm really excited for. I'm excited to see more of Mon Mothma, and how she dodges the Empire of like, oh, they're watching me now. This whole like, she has to keep everything secret and play nice with them, with all the imps and stuff like that. So, oh yeah, but yeah, I like, and she's getting another dress. That's always something exciting for her. More looks for the ladies. It's always exciting to see. But yeah, I want to see more of that. Trying to keep the rebellion quiet type of stuff. Like you can't just go around like buying up ships and all that stuff. You got to find ways to hide your activities. I'm really excited to see that part of like, we want to build arms. We want to build this rebellion to fight against the Empire, but we got to be like very hush hush about it. So I'm excited to see that part about it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that there also is some lines of Erica Quell being a kid and seeing hollows of the rebel senator Mon Mothma like on the run, but making posting her TikToks, trying to inspire the youth while she's being hunted down. If we get some of that, that would be amazing. And then I have Brooke say, I want to know how she went from elegant and glamorous to coconut head.
That's offensive.
How about you, Kel? Oh, and sorry, Andrew, where can we find you and your awesome content?
Excuse me while I slip into my radio voice. You can find me on YouTube at Andrew and Nikki's youtube.com/Andrew and Nikki. Again, we will be shifting focus to more different content when Schmodown ends. And then also on Instagram at Drew DiMalanta, DIMALANTA, and then on TikTok, because most of my Star Wars content at Rogue Leader Drew. I'm going to be, again, post Schmodown, I'm going to be coming up more original content. A lot of my stuff on TikTok is just lip syncing stuff. But I love doing it. I have fun, but I'm going to start shifting focus to more original content and all that stuff.
Yeah. Hey, your skits and things are always good.
Thank you.
Stop.
I can't hear you at all.
Did I die?
Uh-oh.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, hopefully it'll come back.
Oh, okay, I
There it
hear
is.
you now.
Okay, I was just saying you need to stop with the skits because you make everyone look bad when we try and use TikTok audio.
This is true.
It's not fair.
He has all this professional video gear, and then everyone else that looks like, oh, now it looks like I rubbed dirt in my eyes. Like
I should explain myself because everybody always like, oh man, your stuff looks so good. I'm a professional videographer from day to day, so I have all the professional lighting and all the fun equipment. So that's why I do what I do.
yeah. It's like when you go from 4K to 460.
We're all on CRT.
I used to watch this. What is this? No. How about you, Kels? Closing thoughts, excitement for Andor, and where we can find you.
Yeah, read Aftermath. I don't know why people hate on it so much. I think it's really great, and it has some good flying stuff. And plus, I just really love the Aftermath crew. They're like the Rebels crew, but a lot more dysfunctional. I'm also super hyped for Andor. Because I love Rogue One and I love that it's the same creators of Rogue One, and so it's definitely gonna have similar vibes. And I also just love Cassian, so to get more Cassian content is always a good thing. And also Mon Mothma on screen and the Imperial Senate. I'm very excited about the Imperial Senate. But yeah, it's one of my most hyped shows. So yes, stream Andor.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait. And again, for anyone who doesn't already know, we are rereading the book Catalyst.
Good book.
So good.
By James Luceno this month, and then starting next month, be rereading the book Rebel Rising by Beth Revis, which is Jin's story of her growing up, before we meet her in Rogue One. And I just want to spend time in this the mindset of this time period and all the stuff that's going on, bridging this gap, because it's really fascinating. I think the political ramifications of what's going on are probably going to be my favorite part, but I also can't wait to see the action and intrigue, and hopefully we get some cool piloting stuff in there. I'm sure someone's going to need to make some type of crazy space runs, so looking forward to it.
Shout out to Cassian for landing that Ewing and not killing everyone.
I know.
With the Ewing and Rogue One, I always kind of laugh because you're like, we're gonna make 10 men feel like 100, and then there was literally 100 men. We're like, how did she? Okay. And we are going to eagerly await to see if Senator Chuchi shows up as well.
Where is she? Is she safe?
And I didn't catch what you said, Chase.
I was saying, hey, shout out to the U-Wing. Probably my favorite ship outside of the T-70 that, favorite new ship that's been introduced since Disney's been making content. I love the U-Wing. I think it's so cool.
I've been doing the Tri-Wing.
Yeah, that's a ship I would want to fly around the galaxy. It's not too big, not too small. It's not a fighter, but it's not a freighter. Yeah.
Definitely has like the good Apocalypse Now vibe with like the gunners.
The cockpit is
Yeah.
like up and down. Yeah.
And it doesn't need a helmet; it just wears a headset.
Yes. Has seatbelts. That's confirmed.
But no, I used to be bothered by that, but those troops are dropped in later on after.
Oh yeah, after the fleet comes in.
It is the 10 on the and there. It's the 10 on the Imperial shuttle, and then once they break through the shield, they have U-wing drop ships bring people in.
Oh, okay. I was just like, there's so many people. Where are they coming from? But yeah, once again, thank you guys for coming out and talking with me. I will have all of you back for different things, for more Wedge talk. Oh, sorry, one final thing before we end. What is the percentage that Saul Guerrero is going to show up? And I want to take a poll of what episode you think he's going to be in. So season's 12 episodes. What's the first appearance of Saul, or is there no appearance of Saul? I'm actually going to keep a board and have track.
100% he shows up.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree with that, but not in the first season.
Episode 12 of the first season is when
I think because there's 3 seasons they confirmed.
I think it's 2.
2 or 3.
It's down to 2.
Down to 2 now. Okay. I think we 100% see him, but we don't see him till the second season. Probably like halfway between the second season.
Okay.
Someone call Stardust M for sorry.
So watch.
Oh, we're just absolutely going to involve her in this. I'm going to keep track of what everyone says.
I'm going to go episode 11. Like episode 11 ends with Saw showing up.
I'm definitely
season 1.
Season 1, episode 12 for me.
Okay, perfect.
All
right,
press is
you
right.
all are
Episode
locked
1,
in.
season 2.
All right. Awesome. So once again, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you everyone in the chat. Cal4, Darren Calvin is late. Sorry you're showing up at the end. I'm changing the time back to normal, so sorry about that. Sufyan Salim, Brooke Bedazzler, Haley Curly Coffee Works, St. Pat. We have Becca Shea, who I love to have you back on. I'm sorry I haven't. I'm very sorry. Camilla Boyko Wookie. We have Aaron in the chat. We have stacked crew. A lot of people here. Follow all of these people. Follow Andrew and Nikki on YouTube right now if you have a chance. And that is it.